Are you turning people off your brand? And when I say brand, that could just be you. You could just be a self-employed person. You might be a large corporation. It doesn't really matter. But are you turning people off wanting to do business with you? This is some of the press coverage that I've received. Some of the brands that I've worked for, very big names, as you'll see there. So my name is Kerry Hopkins. I'm a former TV journalist with ITV National News and BBC TV News. I've also worked on TV shows as a producer and current affairs shows. And then I've represented those brands that I've just shown you above, mostly in a corporate communications or communications capacity. But I've also worked with sole traders and entrepreneurs as well. I'm going to crack straight into why I've been inspired to do today's session today. I've never spoken about this before, and this is the first time I've ever done this. And it is all from my experiences, particularly over the last year, but certainly over the last 6 years. 4 errors that people are making is the first one: you're posting photos of dead bodies in an attempt to attract the unawakened to your events. You might be thinking, oh my God, who would do that? But let me show you on the next slide what I mean. I'm talking about dead cows. So this image here was posted by a charity. That charity wanted to raise money and they were doing a quiz night. I mean, ultimately, people go for the quiz. They're not going to go because it's a steak and quiz night. So the charity posted this image of this on social media of steak and quiz night. Now, somebody who's not awakened, of which I am now as of last July, and it's nothing to do with being woke, that's a different thing. This is to do with taking the red pill of truth and really understanding what is going on and not being lied to or living in an ignorant way. There's so many things wrong with this. There's somebody like me and also millions of people in the UK, millions now, who do not eat meat, whether they're vegan, vegetarian, or pescatarian. Okay, fish is meat, but people are now flexitarian. They're trying to reduce meat consumption. You know, this brand does not even sell steak. So what is the point in upsetting millions of people in the UK by doing a steak and quiz night? Right? There is literally no point. If you sold cow meat, I could understand it, but majority of people do not. So you see, I look at that, and if you've seen Jeffrey Dahmer's documentary, that to me is very, very similar. It's nothing, you know, I'll come on to the Q&A later. We'll discuss about how humans are acting versus what goes on in the wild, and it is not the same. So yeah, when I saw that, I actually had to unfollow the brand because it disgusted me so much seeing a piece of an animal that I like, which is cows. Now I've got to know them. Seeing their body on there and after they've had a life of enslavement. And I was like, that is disgusting. This is what I see when I see pictures of cows, like steak, right? We all think in England that that's disgusting. That's what they do in China, Vietnam, South Korea, Malaysia, and Indonesia. The only place where dog meat isn't eaten now is Thailand, around there, because of the Soy Dog Foundation has managed to get it outlawed and put people off it. I don't know whether people are doing it illegally, but not on the big scale that they are in those other countries that I've mentioned. So before I became awakened, I would just see pigs as food, cows as food, lambs as food. And now, after being a judge at the Monte Carlo TV Festival and spending 6 years investigating all this, I'm like, oh my God, why am I treating my dog really, really well and then causing immense suffering to these other animals? It's mass discrimination. Mass discrimination. So We've got discrimination, you know, against races, religions. It's just rife, and that's just the way humans are, unfortunately. And they're also doing it against a set of innocent animals as well. So that might be steak night to somebody, but this is what I see. I see something like this. I see this, yeah. Now, 30% of the meat in this country is imported. So don't think that the welfare in the UK is really high standards, because I've spent 6 years looking into it, and it's definitely not high standards at all. That is a load of rubbish. This is what I see. Yeah, I don't see a piece of food. I see this. Look at the way they're living in all the feces. And in this box, a cow that was born and is going to get killed in the first week of birth because it's a male and it can't be used to make milk. You know, I see this. This is what I see. I see this. Cows petrified. You see that picture, that cow there on the left is a cow that has got immense amount of hormones in it, so that humans can nick its milk, and on a grand scale, so it can produce more milk, but it can't even walk. I've seen cows in shackles, literally like slaves in the States, yeah. On the back legs, they've got shackles. They can't walk properly. This is what farmers in the UK do. It's disgusting. This picture here with a rope on its face, that's to stop the baby cow from drinking the mum's milk so that humans can drink it. That's what I see when I see a picture of that steak night. This is what I see. I see this. Look at this one. This is an innocent act. You think it's innocent? No, this is what I see. A cow crying out. I have seen so many cows crying. I've cried 1,000 tears the last year from what I've seen. This has all been held from the public. But the good thing is now, because of social media, thankfully, and even the media slightly, I mean, really the media are at fault because they've covered this up. They've focused on sport. They should have focused on animals every day, because everybody eats food, right? 3 times a day. So I'm really thankful for the social media that now this is getting out there. I'm really thankful for charities that are publishing this. This is what I see when I see innocent steak and quiz night. I see global warming on a mass scale. We've apparently got 10 years left to sort this out. Cows are one of the biggest problems for global warming, for CO2 emissions, because of the methane. And it's not their fault, it's because humans are overproducing them. 85 billion animals are killed every year by humans, 85 billion, plus trillions of fish. So that's what I see. Here's me, like last year, I donated thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to animal welfare charities from the profits of my company, because I feel sorry for them. So there was a cow on this farm, well, not farm, sorry, sanctuary. What they do is they dehorn cows. So literally get this hot thing and just rip its horns off. One cow was 2 years old and it got its eye missing because the hot tongue had gone in its eye. I'm going to do a video on that. Like, this is just one example of what's going on. And if we didn't eat steak, this wouldn't be going on. Yeah, this is what I want. I want cows to escape. Obviously, I don't want them to be in there in the first place. There's a famous priest says, if all the animals were to form a religion, then they would pick humans as the devil. And once you start looking into this, it is absolutely right, because it's not like the wild where they've got a chance to escape. Not every zebra is killed, where every cow's killed, every pig's killed, right? Every lamb's killed, but not in the wild. Only one's killed, one, or, you know, like a few. You see the reaction that post has given me, okay? And there'll be millions of other people in this country that will feel exactly the same way as me. Like, don't do steak night. It's really 1980s to start with. So I have to be very careful who I promote and make famous. I was just mentioning to Beverly when I started this webinar today, if I'm going to make people famous and get them, literally in front of 1 billion people very quickly within signing up, because I got somebody the other day on CNN International, BBC World, and BBC TV News within day one of signing up. That is literally nearly 1 billion viewers. It's hundreds of millions for sure. I don't want that person to be getting more followers and for them to be promoting steak and quiz night, because then that, as if it's an okay thing to do, and it's definitely not an okay thing to do. So I don't want to take people on that are doing this nonsense. Plus, this is what I do now. I post about it. I posted that one yesterday about a brand who wouldn't even consider doing any vegan leather products. I did a whole post on that. So now everyone's commenting on it. And I'm sure they're having a PR crisis meeting this morning. I'm actually a customer of theirs as well. They think that vegan leather is plastic and it's worse for the environment than killing a cow. That is creepy because firstly, it's very like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs who used somebody's skin. The Nazis did that as well, apparently. They made lampshades from victims' skin. And now I'm awakened, I'm disgusted that I've been paying for animals to get killed so I can wear them on my body. And vegan leather is actually even if it's plastic, it's better for the environment than killing cows, even if it's plastic. And 30% of animal leather has plastic in it anyway. And nowadays you can get leather made from pineapple leaves, apple, mushrooms. And so, the post that they wrote to me, I haven't got a copy of it, but I can show you if anyone's interested, was saying that they want to save the environment, so they're going to kill animals instead so we can wear them. So all this, you see what I mean? Like, people are not silent anymore. It's really not worth it just posting a steak and quiz night. You see all it's not as innocent as it used to be now. That's what I'm trying to say. Things are shifting and they're shifting fast. What I suggest is just do pie and mash and quiz night. No one's going to go because you're eating steak. Just do pie and mash night, or even you could do plant-based burger and quiz night, and then you might get some press coverage. And if anybody here has eaten a plant-based burger, just tastes the same anyway, because you've got the bun, the lettuce, the vegan mayo, the tomato, the spices, all that. You can hardly taste the meat anyway. So what I'm saying is, unless you sell steak, it's not worth putting your brand on the line. Here's another one that I saw the other day, which I commented on, and I had the whole of Leon restaurants viewing me on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Serial killers since 2004. No cereal was harmed in the making of this advert. Okay, so we look at the advert and we see pig. So it's like, oh my God, no cereals were killed, but you're killing pigs. And you think that's funny. Would you kill your dog to eat it? Would you kill your cat to eat it? So speciesism, this is the next big thing. Like, this is going to take off like racism has. This is what I'm saying. Like, it's time to make the connection and stop enslaving and being prejudiced against innocent animals that, frankly, if you ate the dog meat, it'd be the same anyway as eating the pig. You know what I mean? Actually, pig meat is a number one carcinogen, and that's why a lot of people have prostate cancer, colon cancer, and different cancers, because it's a class 1 carcinogen. So it's even worse than dog meat. But this is what I see when I see the advert. So what I'm saying is, do you want to, as a brand, stir up these kind of emotions in people? Well, this brand actually sells meat, so it's slightly different. Cereal lives, but pigs die is how I interpreted that. This is what I see. This is the UK, by the way. Look at this. This is how pigs are kept in this country. That is 24/7, 7 days a week. They're on wires. They poo in there because the farmers can't be bothered to let them out. They're let out once in their life in the fresh air. And when they finally see sunshine, they're like, and they've got rain on them, they finally feel like, oh, I'm now going, you know, somewhere good. Where are they going? They're going to get the throat slit. This is disgusting what is going on in the world. This is all over the world. These are called farrowing and gestation crates. And it's evil. This is what I see. Look at those pigs. Do those pigs look like they've had a good life? I don't think so. These pigs in the middle. So they were, you see how they got the hook through them like that, while they force feed them with water so that when they send them to the auction, they'll weigh more, so they'll be worth more. That is, I mean, this is what's going on, guys. This is why I wanted to do this talk. Look at this. This is how pigs are kept, like that. You've got to imagine, would you like to be kept like that? And then that's how they stay fat. I mean, it's beyond, it's so hard to describe what I feel when I see this. This is a woman on TikTok punishing this pig, putting its head in.
Такі моменти хочеться сказати. Що, блядь, за хуйня? Ну як можна було сюди в голову впхати?
She is sick, that farmer. She's on TikTok. Mark isn't the farmer. He reposted it, but I know who it is. Look at that pig's red ruff. She's punishing it for doing something. It's already been punished, living like that in hell.
Такі моменти хочеться сказати.
Yeah, again, does that look appetizing to you? Do you really want to eat pigs? I mean, this is going on in the UK. I've seen worms coming out pigs' bums. You know, just think of those sausages. This is the truth, guys. This is what they don't show you. Look at this pig here. Look at it. Absolutely on the left, absolutely abused with its little babies pooing through there. And that is the way it can't even turn around. It can't lie down. It's so squashed, and it's like that 24/7. Look at this pig's eye here on its way to get slaughtered. You can tell the life it's had. Look at it. Just look at the eyes. This is not bloody fun anymore. Like, you know, and I used to eat all this stuff, and I used to eat caviar and lobster, and used to think, well, now I've seen behind the scenes and I'm so disgusted. I don't want to eat it. Yeah, this is pigs. This is how they're moved around. Remember, 30% of meat's imported, but this is the UK life, 24/7, 7 days a week. You see those barriers pushed into that pig? It can't even lie down. Can you imagine the cramp you'd get if you were lying down like that? And then this is a pig that's just had babies, and that's how she's got to hug them. She can't even hug them properly. She can't stand up. Imagine lying on that concrete floor full of poo, full of wee. Look at these pigs, just thrown in the trash. Look at this one. Look at the eyes. You can tell they've been hugely abused their entire life. These pigs here were tattooed so that somebody could use that skin and make it into art. This is what's going on in the world. So you see the emotions that I get when I see adverts like this. This is so true. Do you love me yet? And it's got a pig with a dog's face over it. What humans are doing to animals is worse than anything I've seen in my life. It is worse than any war that has ever happened, all wars put together. I am Oh, I can't describe it, but you can see by the pictures. And I think it's really important that you see these pictures, but this is only half of it. There's films out there as well. One called Earthlings on YouTube, and there's another one called Dominion, and they're free to watch. When you watch that, you'll be like, oh my God. Anyway, so that is the reason why you get comments. That's why the reason why brands get unfollowed. That's the reason why people are commenting. That's the reason why people are posting. That's the reason why there's more vegan influencers out there. So again, unless you're selling it, don't bother. But frankly, I think Leon should stop selling pigs altogether for that some reasons I've just shown you. Yeah, as I said, animal welfare in this country, it's an absolute load of rubbish. The standards are not what I would give my dog, who lies on my sofa, even lies on my bed on a blanket, you know, is in the house, has fresh air, gets walked. She doesn't have her milk taken off her by another species or is raped by another species. Okay, this is the next error that I see people making, right? So again, this is the third error. This is you or your employees posting pictures of food like this. This would put me off working with you. If I saw this, it would put me off working with you. Firstly, because of animal abuse, but also eating meat. We are not carnivores. Carnivores have the temperament to kill an animal with their own teeth, hands as well. I don't see a lamb and want to kill it like that. I don't see a pig and want to kill it with my teeth. I don't have the capacity mentally, emotionally, morally, or even physiology wise. So if you look at herbivores, which are the strongest animals in the world, herbivores are the strongest animal in the world. Elephants, gorillas are strong as an ox. What does an ox eat? Plants. They have a long intestine. They have blunt paws like us and blunt teeth like us. We are exactly the same as a herbivore. That's why people get cancer in the stomach area, because in the intestine, because meat stays there for 2 years because we can't digest it. And that's why if you have a Sunday lunch, like I used to have, how many times have you had Sunday lunch and then like felt like, whoa, let's all lie down on the sofa now. Let's all go. That's because we can't digest it because we're herbivores. So basically I went vegan last July. Within 6 weeks, my asthma went because that's from dairy. You will see people curing cancer, getting rid of asthma, getting rid of arthritis in particular, because they stop eating meat and dairy. It's really, really bad for you. And we're not, because like I've just said, we're not born to eat it. Yeah, we don't have the temperament. So what we're doing, I don't care that a lion kills a zebra to eat it, because that's what it's born to do. And the zebra's in the wild. What we're doing is enslaving these animals for their entire life, and they have a life of oppression, not their natural lives. And then we eat them and they've got no chance to escape. I mean, and then we make ourselves sick and we make the environment sick, because animal agriculture is the biggest cause of climate change, global warming. Some people say it's oil. Okay, it's kind of like almost the same amount of CO2 emissions and effect. But let's look at that a bit further, because rainforests are getting, like, there's deforestation to grow crops that feed these cows and pigs. Well, we wouldn't have that if everyone was just eating vegan food. Also, what about the transportation of all this food around the world? Well, we wouldn't have that, the cow food. We wouldn't have that if people were vegan. So that links into the oil crisis. And then you've also got live exports. Literally billions of animals every year are put on ships for weeks to go to other countries for them to eat them. You wouldn't have that if people were vegan either. So this is a big crisis. And if everybody went vegan now, within a year, probably 1 to 2 years, because we're still going to have those animals, but then we'll let them live the life out. We won't be breeding more, you know, at the scale we are of 85 billion a year, right? We won't be forcibly impregnating these animals to have baby after baby and taking them away, taking the baby away and eating them. I mean, that is creepy when you think about it. Do I want an alien to make me pregnant, and then I love my baby, and then it gets snatched away from me and the alien eats my baby, and they do it again and again and again? And that is what we're doing to animals. So if everybody went vegan tomorrow, within 1 to 2 years, 100%, the planet would start to recover. So yeah, if you do this as well, that would put me off working with you. That would turn me off. I'd probably unfollow you, and I'd think, oh, they're not educated. Because education isn't about going to Harvard. It's not about going to Oxford. It's not about going to Cambridge. It's not even about doing a university degree, because I've got several degrees and I never learned any of this. This is out there and this is free to learn. It's all over the internet. It's all over Netflix. It's all over YouTube. It's all over, you know, follow Peter, follow Viva, follow animal rights campaigners. You'll see it's all free. In fact, I think I've only ever paid £10 in total for some films. Eating You Alive was one I paid £4.99 to watch. And Unity was another one I watched, and that's voiced by 100 celebrities. And for 48 hours after seeing Unity and after seeing Earthlings on YouTube, so I watched Earthlings by Joaquin Phoenix, the Hollywood award-winning actor who won the Oscar. And then I watched Unity. And then for 48 hours, I was literally like in this state of like really waking up. It was actually quite, I can't really describe what it's like to have an awakening, but I had to sit on the edge of the bed. I was like, I'm going to solve this. I'm going to solve this. Just like the way I got more women on TV. When I started working 10 years ago on my campaign to help more women, now there's 50% of women on many channels. Back then, there were only about 15%. So I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do another campaign. And then suddenly you're like sitting down, you're like, whoa, 85 billion animals. How on earth am I going to do this? And then you start thinking, oh my God, how many animals have I eaten in my life? How many animals? And then you imagine your front garden full of thousands of animals, and the mum and the dad's looking at you and the baby's looking at you. And you're just like, oh my God, what have I done? But the thing is, this is the weird thing. In fact, it's not weird. This is the big problem. If there's no way people would kill animals ourselves, like, okay, 3% would, but the rest of them, they'd be like, they wouldn't do it with our own. You know, you could kill a chicken ultimately with your own bare hands. But again, are you really supposed to be eating chicken? Because if you eat chicken raw, you'll get very ill. Do animals eat cooked food? No, they eat it raw. Again, it's showing you that you're not a carnivore. I mean, really, if you do eat meat, you're a necrovore, which is eating rotting flesh. And the only reason why it's rotting, you can't see it's rotting, is because they put this carbon dioxide in it to make it red, because people think that looks fresh. It's not fresh meat, it's rotting. It's a rotting carcass. So anyone that eats meat is actually a necrovore, not a carnivore. Another thing is, if you start doing this and it doesn't align with your supplier, so let's say I had a client that was doing this, I wouldn't be able to work with them anymore, because there's 3 reasons. Firstly, we are in a major crisis. I saw a post yesterday of hundreds of thousands of fish, all dead on the Gulf of Mexico because there wasn't enough oxygen in the water. I've just shown you a slide of the climate getting hotter and hotter, you know, so that's number 1. Number 2 is frankly the animals. I'm more bothered about them and the abuse they're getting, because we are animals as well, remember. So animals are non-human animals and we are human animals. I feel that if we all got together, because we all learned the truth, we can save these innocent beings who've done nothing wrong and don't deserve this. And 3, because it makes people sick. I was on steroids. I had asthma inhalers. I sometimes would have to stop to get my breath when I was doing intense sport. I was paying money for prescriptions. I was using up the doctor's time. I was wheezing for 20 years because I was eating dairy. It went in 6 weeks. It is. So it's not good for humans either. And if you want to know how it helps you, for humans, if you bother about your own health, I urge you to watch Game Changers on Netflix, The Game Changers it's called. I urge you to watch Eating You Alive and What the Health. Watch those 3 films and you'll be like, oh my God. The problem is the government are in on this, the media are in on this, schools are in on this, big brands are lobbying. There was $100 million spent recently in the States to promote celebrities to drink cow's milk. So you can have all the vegans in the world, but then the government go and subsidize the blooming animal agriculture and dairy farmers. I mean, that is beyond stupid, because we know that veganism and vegetarianism is going up. So, and usually vegetarians, once they find out about what happens to dairy cows, then they go vegan instantly. Like anybody with my knowledge will go vegan instantly. Like I haven't done this for any other reason. You know, I wouldn't have, it's because I've educated myself and I've really spent hours and hours and days, weeks, years doing this. And it's the best thing I've ever learned. So the solution, if you want to do a nice picture, a law firm, they've done they had dinner out and they just posted the picture of them before the meal or after the meal. So I think this is before the meal. So you can either post the picture before the meal or post a picture when the plates are taken away. But, you know, posting a picture like this of a team event or family event, it's going to put people off. And the next generation, this is it. They are all going vegan, big time. I'll just talk to people that are 21, 25, 29. What I tell them, they pretty much go vegan instantly. And they're up for it. Because if they're not vegan, they're going plant-based. So, and they understand it. A lot of universities are now going plant-based. Cambridge Ball has gone plant-based. Tons of called National Union of Students, that's something like that. They're all going plant-based now. A lot of the councils are going plant-based, usually Labour councils. They're just serving vegan food. Actually, vegan food is gorgeous when you get into it. And I prefer my food now compared to when I used to. So yeah, this is the answer. Just do something like this. Obviously, you need to get new guidelines in the company to let people know not to post pictures of dead bodies or milkshakes unless it's plant-based. And just do that. Again, why should this law firm lose clients? Because they don't sell meat anyway. There's just no point. So ideally, you wouldn't eat meat, but at least don't promote it is my point. You know, I can't force people not to eat meat. All I can do is point them in the direction that I've gone to educate them to a higher level. Then they can make their own mind up. And then if they knew what I knew, if they put the work in, then they probably wouldn't eat this meat anyway. But at least eat the meat in secret is what I'm saying. Don't go promoting it on social media because it's bad PR. It's going to get worse. More people are going to join the fight. More people are going to post about it. More people are going to post comments. More people are going to unfollow you. And, you know, sure, Andrew Tate, he bangs on about eating meat, but look at him, he's a right state. Do you want to be like Andrew Tate? I don't think so. I think this picture here is really poignant. How do we get over to your side, says the cow, pig, and chicken. From killed to loved. You know, like what animals are going through is worse than any war, any slavery in the US. And what happened in all those scenarios was horrific. You know, humans were the only way to save these animals. It's sad that they don't kill the animal in front of you when you order it, because if they did, then you'd be like, actually, nah, I think I'll just have the plant-based burger, thanks. It's all kept behind closed doors from people trying to make money from us. This is the problem. But it's getting out there now. People like me, you know, I'm a former national TV journalist, so I've got credibility. And there's more people like me joining this fight. It's not just hippies who with huge hearts. And frankly, if it wasn't for them, who knows where we'd be. There's doctors now. There's a GP on Instagram. I mean, doctors have never been good at nutritional advice. I think they get 2-hour lecture and the whole degree. But now you've got plant-based doctors, a GP in England. She's now talking about how her husband started eating plant-based food than she did. And our husband started to run marathons like 1.5 hours faster when he went plant-based. You know, Djokovic, the best tennis player in the world, he's plant-based. When I went vegan, I could then start carrying my dog a lot further without getting out of breath. You do get more powerful. So if you're eating the right foods. So yeah, this plant-based doctor is now saying to some of her patients, rather than just giving them medicine, she's advising what to eat. And her patients are getting cancer cured because she's doing the plant-based advice. You've got a load of doctors in the US called the Physicians Committee, I think it is. Again, they're curing people from cancer, chronic illness, heart disease, what else, strokes, from advocating for a plant-based diet. And they want the government to start, you know, serving plant-based milk to children in schools, all sorts. It's really just getting bigger and bigger. Thank you, social media. This is why it's so good. So I think speciesism is the world's biggest crisis ever. Here's number 4. The last one is the Grand National. Now, we all saw everybody protesting around that. I used to have a horse when I was younger. My dad bought one for me, my sisters, but he also bought my mum 6 horses. My real mum, who he was married to first. 6 horses he bought her because she loved horses so much. Okay. Now, I always thought about that bit in the mouth. I always thought a little bit, oh, I wonder if that hurts. But that was the most thought that I gave it. And then when Animal Rising started protesting, or maybe just before that, I'd seen something on Peter's website last year, then I started to think, oh my God, like, imagine if you had a bit in your mouth. So imagine now, okay, you've got this massive metal thing in your mouth and you're running the fastest you've ever run and somebody's on your back and then they yank it. That would be agony, wouldn't it? You can, if you've ever had toothache, it's going to be a zillion times worse. Literally, you're running and somebody yanks it really, really fast. You know, and these horses go way, way faster than humans. So you can imagine the force. In fact, nowadays, vets are being taught that if you put a bucket on your arm and hold it out, it's even more painful than that, having the bit in your mouth. If you hold a bucket full of sand, it's even more painful. Like, the force is just phenomenal. And that's why when you start looking underground, you'll see horses with blood dripping out the mouths. When you watch the Grand National, they talk about high welfare for animals. Okay, so why does a horse die every race? At least 2 horses die every meeting, because the Grand National's over several days, or Aintree is. You get a horse dying every day just by going over these hedges at 100 miles an hour, being forced, and then banging into each other, falling over, breaking the leg, and they get killed. And they talk about high animal welfare. Well, I think if you had a human die in every football match, what do you think would happen? Well, they'd ban football, wouldn't they? This is the human supremacy. This is what this is. But this is what I mean. Like, you've almost, the way the brain works is you've got to have it, you've got to be told this. Because I used to have a horse and I didn't even realize this. Like, you've got to have a conversation, you've got to see the images, and then it starts piecing together that actually what we're doing is immensely, immensely cruel. Now, what happened was there was so much negative coverage on the Grand National, and all the media were covering it, the protests, who they were simply just trying to save lives those days. Marsh Insurance pulled out of sponsoring the Grand National. So, you know, good for them. So yeah, now I probably in the past would have liked to have gone to Ascot. I did get a ticket once, but I couldn't make it. I wouldn't go now. I wouldn't go. Would I do bareback horseback riding without a bit in America? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't do horse riding like how we do it here in England anymore. The thing is, a lot of things that are, you know, posh, with horse racing, Henley Royal Regatta, I was also a member of that, and I've just quit because I used to be a rower. Polo, you know, it's all caviar, lobster. It's animal abuse though as well. Yes, go to the rowing, but don't go to the seafood bar. I quit Henley because they didn't have enough plant-based options. I said, what's your vegan menu for this year? They said, we'll let you know what the one option is. I was like, one option? Are you joking me? No way. So I quit my membership. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. When I went to a private members club recently, did a speech for International Women's Day, I had the vegan option. The whole, like literally everyone next to me were like, oh my God, I'm so jealous of that food. It looks so, so good. And it was this burst of all these different flavors from vegetables, spices. I mean, it was Michelin star quality and it was delicious. So, you know, the food is incredible. Yeah, so to Marsh, I say, well done for pulling out. You know, I'm not going to vilify people that don't understand. All I want is, you know, Marsh, I used to have a horse and I didn't realize. Marsh might not have realized either. So it's not that we're going to vilify them. I just want to educate people on the truth so that they can learn it and make their own decision, which 97% of people will then, you know, be against it. Well, we'll be against some of this, right? Not necessarily horse racing. I think that's going to take a lot more persuading, because people still, especially the right wing, seem to think it's okay to exploit animals. Okay, so yeah, Marsh pulled out. That's great. That was the solution for them. And I think the PR's okay as a result of them pulling out. That's kind of like the main thing regarding this. I would say, you know, if you're not making the money you want, are you doing things like what I've just shown you? Because it does put people off. So I won't buy from somebody if they're doing that. And there's millions of people like me as well. And with horse racing, there's going to be even more, because there's a lot of people against horse racing that aren't even vegan or vegetarian, right? So I've got something brewing anyway, and it's going to be more on this theme for people that care, not just care with words, but care with the actions, care with compassion. Empathy is good, it's okay, but compassion's the big one. The difference between empathy is, oh, that's really sad, isn't it? Oh, that's awful. Compassion is, I'm not going to buy that anymore. I'm not going to fund those people doing that because that's hurting those victims. So if you're compassionate, or at least willing to learn, you don't have to have everything, you know, you don't have to be my level of knowledge on this already. I want to help people learn so that they can spread the news as well, because it's for the good of animals, the planet, and yourself, your own health. So I'm gonna be doing something soon, and so it might be like a group of people, and we do a monthly membership in a group. That's what I'm thinking so far. So if you're interested, because as well, obviously, because I'm PR, I do make people famous. Obviously, I'm a broadcast PR expert. And so we'll be covering professional things like that as well. But I only want people in that group that are willing to make some changes and not, you know, go against the values that I've got. And that'll help you make more money. It'll help your brand look better as well. So if you're willing, that's all we need is just willingness and compassion. Then just email me, waiting list. And then when I launch it, which is going to be soon, I'll include you. Now, I have gone back to doing PR representation as well. For the last couple of years, I was mainly focusing on teaching people my skills. But now I've started to get people back on TV and in the press again myself by doing it myself, but only for brands that aren't doing those things that I showed you earlier. So again, if you want help with that, or you want a broadcast consultant to give you advice, or you want me to do it for you, and you're not doing those things that I talked about earlier, then again, send me an email, or we'll have a chat in a minute, and we can schedule a chat in about that. Beverly has just said foie gras. Yes, foie gras. That's another one. Again, I used to eat foie gras back in the day. I don't know, 20 years ago. I used to think it tasted nice. And then I saw these pictures of these geese force fed so that their liver was expanded so that we could eat foie gras. As soon as I saw that picture, I was like, oh, that is disgusting. And I've never eaten it since. And then I saw like the way the geese live is literally in a shoebox, but it's a cage. And they spend their entire life in that, and they're force fed several times a day. So you have to think, do I want to live in a tiny shoebox for my entire life, force fed every day, then get murdered? I think the answer will be no, which is why you then wouldn't pay for foie gras unless you're mentally ill on a large scale. But if you're mentally on a large scale of a psychopath, well, some psychopaths I think might like dogs, but they wouldn't want it done to them, but they wouldn't care. They wouldn't have emotion. They wouldn't feel as compassion for the animal. But Jeffrey Dahmer, right? I don't think he was a psychopath, but what Jeffrey Dahmer did. Has anybody here seen Jeffrey Dahmer? There's like a several part series on it, but it's a drama, but it's based on a true story. He killed his victims, humans, but he would drug them first so they wouldn't feel pain, and then he would eat some of them so that he always had them inside him. What Jeffrey Dahmer did, let's be clear, was wrong. Murdering anyone is wrong. But Jeffrey Dahmer treated the people that he ate better than the majority of the humans in this country or in the world that eat meat. His victims got treated better because they were drugged so they didn't feel pain and they had a free life. Whereas what we're doing to these animals who are just like us, the only difference is they don't speak a language, which is the downside, unfortunately. But I see their language, I see their eyes, I see them crying, I see their pain. They are speaking to me. They suffer their whole life. They're not free. They're not free to have a family. They're not free to go jogging. They're in cages. They're mutilated. They get the tail docked with no anesthesia. They get the babies ripped off them. They don't get any pain relief when they get the teeth cut out when they're born. Piglets get the teeth pulled out and the tails cut off a few days old. They don't get any anesthetic for that. Cows in America, they're branded with hot iron. They don't get any anesthesia for that. I could go on and on and on and on and on. So Jeffrey Dahmer treated his victims better than the people that are sat eating meat and dairy are doing. So if you're doing that, you're actually worse than Jeffrey Dahmer in my view. But again, that might shock you, but the more I explain things and educate people, then you'll be like, actually, you're right, Kerry. What are my thoughts on free range? I've been asked. So free range, I haven't eaten chickens for 6 years. So I first went plant-based 6 years ago, but I hadn't seen enough animal abuse to go vegan at that point. I went vegan last July because I saw the animal abuse. And then I learned more. But originally I went plant-based, and then because I saw some chickens. Well, no, actually, first I went plant-based for my own health. But you see, when you're just doing it for yourself, it's too easy to slip. It's too easy to slip. You're like, oh, go on, then I'll have that bit of cheesecake, or I'll have that chicken. But so yeah, 5 years I did slip, and I started having dairy again and meat occasionally, but I never had chicken again. I never had chicken because what I saw was so disgusting. There's no such thing as free range, is number one. What it is these chickens are in barns in the UK, and they are allowed to roam around, but they can only roam around on a piece of paper as big as that. So it's not really free range. They never see sunlight. They are walking in their own poo, so it burns their feet. Can you imagine walking in your own poo, and that's your whole life? They're called Franken chickens because they've got so many hormones put in the food, it makes them grow huge. Like chickens years ago were like that big, and now they're huge. And they're so big, they can't walk because their bodies are too big. So they're literally like collapsing. A lot of chickens just die, like on the back, starve to death. Oh, also, naturally, chickens are supposed to have about 6 eggs a year they're supposed to give, period. Isn't that eggs a period? They're supposed to lay 6 eggs a year. But because humans have messed with chickens so badly, they now have an egg every day. And what happens is a lot of chickens die because they literally just keel over from exhaustion, having an egg every day. It's like having a baby every day, really, if you think about it. Going from once a year having a baby, or 6 times a year, to every day, 352 times a year. So that's immensely cruel as well. And the chicken never sees sunlight. So it's just in this barn in the middle of the countryside, a few miles from where you're living now, is a horror. It's a horror. Actually, another point talking about barns is pigs are gassed in this country. They're gassed in gas chambers. Again, I didn't know that. I wouldn't have eaten pigs if I'd known that. So yeah, I don't eat chicken either for that reason. Another thing, I've seen cows. I don't eat steak because I've seen cows with so much pus on them. What the butchers do is they cut the pus out and they still sell it. Cows have got a full of cancer, pus. It's disgusting. Like when you see this stuff and you see this chicken, I mean, I've seen chickens crying. I've seen all animals crying at what we're doing to them. I've seen chickens crying, hyperventilating because they can't breathe because there's so much ammonia, feces and urine. They're literally like that and crying. So yeah, that doesn't make me want to eat a chicken. And again, if I was supposed to eat a chicken, well, I would have a short intestine and I'd be able to eat it raw. Well, I can't eat it raw because I'll get salmonella. That shows me, okay, I'm not supposed to be eating chicken. And chicken's not like alcohol or cocaine or smoking. It's not like, oh, I can't wean myself off it. It's very easy. Once you see all the images and you learn the truth, you're like, ugh, I don't want to eat chicken anyway. That's gross. But what happened 6 years ago, I suddenly had this urge. After learning that chicken was bad for me, I had this urge that I wanted some roasted chicken with the skin all crispy. Oh, I can't believe I did that. So I put this chicken in the oven. And then I started eating this roast chicken off the bone. And then I literally, an hour later, I don't know, very quickly, felt so ill. I went and vomited in the loo. And because I had such a bad experience of what I've seen, I've never eaten chicken since. And I'm just like, why would you want to eat chicken? Just eat blooming sunflower seeds. They've got 33 grams of protein in them. Beans, it's got 49 grams of protein in it. This whole thing that you need to eat meat for protein, you get more protein from plants than you do meat. And why is that? Well, because all the animals you're eating are herbivores and they get all the protein from the plants. So just cut the middleman out and go straight to the plants. Another myth is omega-3. Miley Cyrus said, I used to be vegan, but I stopped because my brain wasn't working properly and I needed my omega-3 from fish. How has somebody like that with that much money not got access to information? Where do fish get omega-3 from? They get it from seaweed and algae, which they eat. And that's how fish get it. And that's how humans get it who eat fish. Just go straight to the algae and seaweed. Oh my God, like this is what I mean. The amount of nonsense that is out there. Vitamin B3, that's another one. Oh, you can't, you've got to watch what you eat if you're a vegan. You don't get vitamin B3, which proves you must eat meat. No, darlings. You get vitamin B3 from soil, okay? But because the soil's so messed up now, because of what humans have done to it, we don't get vitamin B, not B3, B12 I'm talking about, vitamin B12. We don't get it from soil anymore because the soil's been messed up with pesticide. I don't know what we've done to it, but we don't get it anymore. So we get it from meat. Why do we get vitamin B12 from meat? Hello, because the farmers give the cows vitamins, vitamin B12. So then the cow gets the B12 from vitamins. Look on the internet, massive jugs of food that of nutrients that the farmers put in the cow food, B12. So that's how you get it. So it's a load of nonsense that you get it from meat. And you actually now get vitamin B12 fortified bread. You get it in a lot of vegan food, you know, so you can get it anyway. So this is what I mean. Like there's so much lies out there. It's all lies. It's all misinformation. It's all what we've been taught as well. You know, it's a big crisis. It's a huge, huge crisis. It's a huge crisis. And it's desperately sad. And I've cried so many times.